The thing that some coaches don't necessarily want to talk about is what it looks like behind the scenes. What it looks like when maybe you just wake up, you've had a late night because you were putting things together for your team so that your team could create content and things that will benefit your clients. And then you have an early morning 6:30 a.m. wake up call because you're hopping into another meeting. Then you walk your dog, come back, have your breakfast, and then get back to work at 10:30 a.m. because you get to do this work. If you feel sometimes like it's important to be perfect and to show up with your hair in order, everything perfectly scripted, and that your value depends on being able to present in a way that is polished, I'm going to push back on that. I'm going to push back on that and offer that that is programming from early childhood. Programming that we learned in the presence of authority figures, peer groups, repetition, or emotionalized events. And in order to avoid the criticism, in order to avoid sometimes the abuse and other unspeakable things, we learned how to present the very best version of ourselves. To the extent that perhaps that very best version is watered down. What do I mean by watered down? I mean there's so many filters on it, so many reiterations of the truth, the feeling, the emotion, the authenticity, the love, the vulnerability is stripped away in favor of attempting to produce something that's perfect when in actuality you already are. Yes, and there's a wonderful saying, you're perfect just the way you are, be yourself, else is taken. However, living that requires a next level of nervous system regulation. And when that nervous system is regulated, you show up as you are, who you are, because you have a heart that wants to give. And when you've gone through the fire, you come out with a heart that understands. So if this is resonating with you, you haven't already, like this video and subscribe to the channel for more information that is along this line of identity architecture. My name is Christian Raphael. I'm a medical support clinical hypnotherapist, and for over a decade, I've been serving peak performing women entrepreneurs at the intersection of identity architecture, subconscious mind reprogramming, and nervous system regulation. And how do we put capacity and identity together in a way that gives us greater access to the truth of who we are? Well, here's a tip. Become comfortable being uncomfortable. Become comfortable showing up as you are. Whatever that looks like, however that shows up. Show up as you are. Trusting that the truth of who you are is so much greater than the role we place on ourselves to be something more, because we believe that some part of us is offensive. We believe that the hair that's not combed, face that's not shaved perfectly, message that's not crafted beautifully in a precise way, somehow reflects a poorer version of ourselves. But listen, folks, I mean, isn't that crazy? I mean, isn't it absolutely nuts that when we say, I've got to be a certain way in order to be accepted? No, you don't have to be a certain way in order to be accepted. Let's be ourselves. Let's be who we are. Let's choose to step into the greater version of who we are, which is magnificent. Everything that you've gone through, everything that you've struggled with, everything that you've had a challenge with, everything that's been difficult, everything that's almost broken you, everything that has challenged you to become an even better version of yourself, that's your roadmap. That's your survival guide. That's how you actually went from point A to point B. That's going to be valuable and beneficial to someone. Because if you can show up as you are, hold that space, hold that environment, hold that moment as you are, that's going to be transmitted out into the field. And people are going to feel it because who you are is shining forth, it's emanating. Not a polished version, not an AI version, not a chat GPT version. Now, I'm all about technology and leveraging technology for greater efficiency and productivity. I'm all about that. Artificial technology cannot clone the essence of who you are, cannot clone the gratitude, cannot clone the wisdom, cannot clone the energetic field of what you get out of the messy middle. Cough coming. Spoiler alert. So don't be afraid to be who you are. Unless, of course, you have an old program that says being who I was or being who I am is dangerous to me. And a lot of us have that in different ways. I told the story the other day in front of, over 100 coaches in a live event. And I talked about being at home in a very abusive household growing up, and the cacophonous, thunderous sound of abuse and the screams for help that I heard while I was hiding under the bed. While I was under the bed, I noticed things that had put under the bed because it was a safe space. I noticed my trolls. I noticed, rubber balls and things of that nature that I really cherished. And I'm realizing that in that environment of safety where I played small, where I shrunk myself down, became a smaller version of myself. I equated that with creativity, with relief, and with a sense of camaraderie, because oftentimes when all of the noise, all of the thunder was going on, my brother was hiding under the bed with me. And then there came the familiar voice that said, "Boys, we want to talk to you." And we all know, and we've all seen a dog that's been abused, it's been hit over and over again. So there's real hesitancy and a tendency and I'm backing up here. I don't know about this. Well, that was me getting out from under the bed again. And then hearing that same voice that was screaming for help say, "It's okay. Nothing's wrong." But in this body, I knew that something was wrong. And that set up a decision right in that moment. That set up a break that said, don't trust the feeling. Here's an authority figure telling me that there's nothing wrong, but I knew in my body there was something wrong. And the decision that I made as that 5-year-old under the bed, don't trust the feeling. don't answer a call for help, you will never be able to withstand that moment and what might happen. And that playing small affected my life for many, many, many years, up until most recently, about a year and a half ago, when I joined an elite group of what I think of as spiritual gangsters that are making a difference in the world through what it is that they do, what it is that they bring to humanity. And I developed a reputation for being the person that raised my hand really quickly when I had an opportunity to ask for help. Smelling what I'm cooking here? Subconsciously trained that help was dangerous from sensitizing events, but now it's like, no, I raise my hand because I know that I'm in an environment that's empowered. I'm in an environment that can support myself and other people. And it's a mighty tribe of warriors, spiritual gangsters. And that's priceless. So instead of thinking I've got to hide under the bed, I ASK. And then I'm given tools and skills and feedback to then be able to give, to be able to give at a higher level. So instead of asking being dangerous, it becomes an acronym for A meaning attitude. What's my attitude? Do I have an attitude of gratitude? Do I have an attitude of I'm going to be the best version of myself? Do I have an attitude of it's okay for me to be seen as I am? Do I have an attitude of, wow, I don't have to be perfect. My hair doesn't always have to be combed. I don't always have to be perfectly shaved. It's my attitude. S, self-talk and self-thought. Pay attention to what you say because you're listening. Pay attention to what you say because you're listening. Pay attention to what you think because you're listening. Pay attention to what you think because you're listening. Self-talk and self-thought. And K, kindness. Being kind to self, being kind to others. Being kind to the memories of things that were challenging. What do I mean by that? I mean that I'm just going to be straight with you. Is it cool just to be straight with you? I'm going to be straight with you. Our parents were human beings. And they learned from their parents who were human beings. It goes back and back and back and back for generations. And a lot of the things that our parents did were based on what their parents did and based on what their parents did. And along the way, we lost a sense of personal accountability. I'm going to blame it on my parents. Like, your parents did the best they could. They gave you a body. They brought you into the world, and now the rest is up to you. Now, that might be a little bit harsh for some people. I don't think so. So, with that kindness, we can be kind to ourselves, to our others, and kind and appreciative of our parents and our parents, 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 all the way back through genealogy, because without them, we wouldn't be here. And we now have the opportunity to learn from those lessons. We have the opportunity to make a shift. We have the opportunity to raise our hand. We have the opportunity to get out from under the bed. And that takes a decision. Decision to move forward in a way that's powerful and potent. We all have it in us. So if this is landing in your body, make sure to subscribe to this video or subscribe to this channel. Forward the link on to friends and family that you think might benefit from it. To receive more content on a regular basis like this that talks about identity architecture. Quickly, what's identity architecture? Identity architecture is aligning how we hold ourselves, how we view ourselves, what we feel the truth about ourselves to be, aligning that with capacity. How do we hold that in a way where it's okay for us to show up with our intention and our presence? Aligning those two so that we have greater access to the truth of who we are. The truth of who we are is beyond measure. It's beyond words. It's an ineffable state of being. And once you've experienced that, you can't unexperience that. Until next time, this is Christian Raphael signing off. Be kind, be well, be a blessing.